In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add menu items to compiled programs by using OllyDbg. And so what I'm going to be doing here is adding a menu item to Explorer.exe. And basically what it'll do is, this is my start menu. It's kind of strange how it's on the side, but it's pretty much just a normal start menu. When you right click, you get the standard menu list right here. But as you can see, mine has a menu item that says process list, and then it has task manager and process XP. Those are not there by default. And I used OllyDbg to do this. So in this tutorial, you're going to learn how to edit menu items using OllyDbg. Well, you're not necessarily editing them, but you are adding the code to them. You're editing them using Resource Hacker. So it's going to use a combination of OllyDbg and Resource Hacker to do this. So to start off, we're going to go into Resource Hacker. First, you're going to want to create a backup of your Explorer.exe file. And then after you do that, you're going to probably want to terminate Explorer by going to Task Manager. And then you can use this reshack, and I'm going to open Explorer. Okay, so you want to go under Menu, and you want to go to 205 and 1033. This tutorial is going to focus just on changing this like I showed you. You could use this for many other things, but that's what the tutorial is going to focus on. So, in order to do that, we first need to create a pop-up item right here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to type, hold on, I have to put down the microphone. Okay, so I just compiled this script, and now if I go down here, you can see that it has changed it from just saying Task Manager to having a whole new menu item over here. Now, right here, you can see what I did is pretty self-explanatory. I just added pop-up and then process list, which is the name of the pop-up item. The only thing that really should not make sense to you right away is this 503 number. I left this number the same because that's what Task Manager was assigned to, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I left it at 420. But I changed, or I added 503 to the process XP. And basically what I did there was I used up the help and support item. If you go into this section, section 204, and you look over here, you can see that item 503 is assigned to the menu item help and support. So basically what I'm doing is compromising help and support for my new menu item. It is very hard to add your own, like if you wanted to add your own complete number, because then you have to add an extra switch case in OllyDbg, and that's usually hard when there's not like a open space in the code. So I usually tend to just use something that's already been used that I don't need, like this. So that's why I used 503 right there. Anyway, so you press compile script and then you save it. So I'll just save that. And then after you do that, then you open the exe with OllyDbg. So let me close out. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to open up OllyDbg. And here it is. What we're going to want to do is, let's see, I think we want to terminate Explorer right now so that when we load it, it loads as the normal full Explorer. Because if you haven't noticed this before, if you try to execute Explorer exe when Explorer is already running, it will simply open a folder tree for you to look at. It will not actually open the whole GUI interface. In order to make it do that, you need to actually terminate the original Explorer and then open the one that you want to hack in OllyDbg. So I'm going to do that right now. Let's see. We want this and process. Okay, so now Explorer has been terminated. So now I go here and I open the Explorer that I want to change. For me, I put it in here just because I already actually did this before, so want to load that. Okay, so now there are many ways you can find the section of code that controls menu items, but in this case, the easiest way I've found to do it is simply looking for taskmanager.exe in the strings, because it shells out to task manager when you press that menu item. So that's how we're going to find the location. So we're going to right click and we're going to go to search for and then all reference text strings. And then it's going to bring up this list of all the text in the program. Well, not all of it, but most that it can find. And then we're going to do right click and search for text, and then we're going to type in task manager. Okay, and then we find down here that the first instance of it is right there, and if I do Control L, I find that there's no more after that. So this is the one that we want. So we double click that, and it brings us to our location where that menu item is clicked. So you can see where this $sign is right here. That means it's the beginning of a call. So this whole thing all the way until down here at the RTN, this whole thing is one call, or one function, I guess you could call it. So what we want to do is we want to find the location that this function is called from, because this is the function that has task manager loading in it. So what we want to do is we want to highlight the first item, the one that has the $sign, and we want to right click it, and then we want to go to, and then we want to look for the calls. See how it has two calls over here? It is not obvious which one it is, so you actually have to look at both and figure out which one it is. In this case, originally I had to actually set breakpoints and then determine what it was by clicking on it and seeing which breakpoint it went to. So what I do is I click this first one, and it takes me here. So what I do is I set a breakpoint with F2. I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but this is how I do it. So yeah, I mean, I haven't been taught this. I just sort of learned this on my own. But yeah, so I set a breakpoint, if you can see that. I set a breakpoint at this place right here. Then I press the minus sign to go back. Or not. I don't know why it's not going back. There we go. Okay, I think it was lost focus. So now we do the same thing, and we go to the other call, this second call here, and we press F2 to set a breakpoint there as well. So now we have a breakpoint on both of those locations. So that is the only two possible routes that this method right here could get executed. So we want to find out which one of those is the one that is calling this. So what we need to do is now press, we want to press play and start up Explorer. And it might take a bit to load, but after it's loaded, you'll see these values change a lot, and it'll probably take about 5 or 6 seconds. And as you can see, it's loaded for me, and my menu is right over here, this blue thing. So when I right click on it, you can see I have process list like I added using Resource Hacker. So what I want to do is I want to now hit Task Manager and see where it brings me. And now you can see that it's getting kind of glitchy for some reason. Alright, hopefully this is still working. Now you can see that it set a breakpoint at this location. So this is the location that handles the Task Manager. So now that we know that, remember how we chose 503? I think it was 503. What we want to do now is we want to find that switch case. So as you can see over here, see how it says case 1A4 of switch blah 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 blah. That is the case that handles the Task Manager, and 1A4 is converted into decimal. So if we right click on this and we go to, oh, you can't see that, hold on. Okay, there's most of it. I hope you can see that. Hopefully it's not off the screen. But if you right click on the case, it will convert it into decimal for you. So you can see how the first one is case 420, which was the Task Manager case. So that's where we are right now. And remember, the one that we changed was 503 apparently, and it's right down there. So it says case 1F7. So what we want to do is we want to look for case 1F7, and that's the one that we want to change to Process XP. So if I hit that, it takes us up to that case. See now case 1F7 over here is highlighted. So this is the one that we want to crack. So as you can see, what it's doing is it's doing a push, and then it's doing a call, and then it's doing a jump. This jump jumps back to the main default case. The reason I know that is because if we look down here, which is the case of Task Manager, you can see that there's a jump to that same exact location as there is up here. And this push is nopped, and that whatever this call is changed to our code. So first off, we want to change this to nop. So we want to right click here, and we want to fill with nop. Okay, so what'll happen is it'll still, when that case is met, this 1F7 or 503 case is met, it will land right at this same place, and it will just do no operation until it hits the call. And this call is the call that we need to hack. So in order to go to this code, we just press enter when it's highlighted. So it's highlighted right now, so I just press the enter key, and that brings us to our method. So this is the method or function or whatever you want to call it that handles the help and support. So in our case, we don't want it at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply nop this entire thing out, and we're going to change it to what our code is. You can change it to whatever you want, but in this case, we're going to be changing it for loading Process XP. So what we want to do is start out by just knopping the entire thing. So I'm going to shift and I'm going to press down until I select the whole thing. Entire thing. And then I'm going to do fill with nop. Alright. So now you can see right here is where we want to start doing our code. Right at the first nop. Because that's the location that's called. So at that location we want to start by pushing our values onto the stack. And so for this particular video, we're going to be using a shell execute command to execute process XP. So in order to do that, I'm going to go online and I'm going to look up the shell execute function. Okay, so this is the Microsoft documentation for the shell execute function. So what we need to do is basically just look at this and maybe a little bit of the description to fully understand it. So we want to be implementing this function in OllyDbg. So in order to do that, we know that we need to push it backwards, which is a very important thing that you might not realize. But as you can see, here's an example of the shell execute function. In order to make this work in OllyDbg, what we have to do is we have to use the push command, and then we have to use the call command. So we have to push this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then call this. Going forward, it actually goes backwards, so you have to make sure that you push it that way. So we need to find out what this is, what the actual value of this is. And I think it says, yeah, right here, SW show normal is 1. So we know that it's 1, so that means we need to just type in push 1. So we go back to our OllyDbg. Let's see. Okay, so we're back at our code. So the first thing we need to do is push 1. So I'm going to double click here, and then it says assemble at blah 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 blah, whatever the address is, and we want to type in push 1. And then assemble. Okay, so now we have that. So then after that, we want, let's see, we want 2 nulls. Then we want whatever the path is, or whatever the program name is, and then we want another null, and I think this one can be another null as well. So we want 2 nulls, path, 2 nulls. And nulls are simply pushing 0. So we're going to go back in there, and we're going to do, alright. Okay, so I added 2 push nulls or push zeros. So now what I need to do is I need a path or a program name. And in order to do that, I actually need to create a separate string value inside of the program. I can't just type in push quote and then the name of the program. That doesn't work. You actually have to store the string at a separate memory location, and then you type push and then the number of that memory location. So what you need to do is you need to go down far to a place that you know you're never going to fill up, because we might fill this stuff up at some point. So we're going to go down I don't know, here or something, and we'll just select all of this. And then we're going to go right click, binary, edit. For some reason that cord from my microphone got caught under my mouse for a sec. That's why I wasn't clicking. But okay, so we want to type in the Unicode box, because Explorer.exe uses Unicode for everything pretty much. So you want to type it in this box right here. So we type whatever the name of the program is or whatever we want to do. So I guess for this example I was going to do process XP, but I guess I'll just do notepad. So you just type notepad.exe and then hit OK. And then you'll see that it has all this weird crappy code that doesn't make sense. And it really doesn't mean anything. It's not meant to be like that. So in order to fix that, you right click and you go to analysis and then analyze code. And then you can see it sort of makes it better, and you can actually read it over here. So yeah, but one more thing is you can see it has a db00. I'm pretty sure that you need to add an extra 00 so that it doesn't get messed up, so that it knows where the end of the string is. So just for precaution, I'm going to select a bunch of these and just change them to zeros instead of 90s. You don't really need to do this many, but I'm doing it just in case. Okay, so now those are zeros. So now we know right up here is the location that we want to push, because this is the start of our string that we just typed in. So we want to push this number right here, which is 103207E. So we go up here. Wait, where is it? Oh. Okay, so push 103207E, I think. And then assemble. And yep, see now over here it says Unicode Notepad. So now it knows that we're using that as our variable for that part of it. So then after that, I think we do 2 more nulls. Yeah, you just do 2 more nulls and then we call it. So we do, right here we do push 0 and then do it a second time, and now we do our call. So the call is shell execute, but in this case it's Unicode, therefore it's shell execute W. So we type call and then press assemble. Oh, hold on, maybe it's because I didn't capitalize it. Yep, that was it. Apparently it's case sensitive, so be careful with that. But yeah, so call shell execute W, and now you can see that it added it right here. So now when it executes this, it should run Notepad. So what we need to do is we just need to add a return statement right here so it goes back to the place that it was called from. So we just double click this and then type in RETN, and you can see that it added a RETN. So that's pretty much all we need to do for this part, I think. We have that. Looks like it's ready. Let's go back and just make sure. Go back to the call. Yep, it's calling from here. Okay, so what we want to do is let's just copy this. Copy to executable, all modifications. We want to copy all. And then it'll say a bunch of crap and you just say yes. And then you press X, and then it'll ask you if you want to save the dump, and you say yes. And then, yep, explore exe, save. And you want to overwrite it? Yes, I do. Okay, so now it should be cracked how we wanted it. So let's find out. In order to find out, I need, get rid of that. I need to terminate the current explorer. Right there. Yes. And now that that one's terminated, now I need to run the new one. The one from here. Okay, now this is the one that I just hacked. So if I go here, there it is. It opens Notepad. So that's pretty much it for my tutorial. Just wanted to let you guys know how you could edit menus like this using OllyDbg. Yep, so that's about it. So if you like hacking, if you like assembly language, or just programming in general, subscribe to my channel. Thanks.